Hey everybody, it's Tracy, and there's obviously been a rash of bankruptcies in the crypto space. And the question is, how do you get made whole, right? Do you get your crypto back, your money, fiat, whatever the case may be? So like BlockFi, FTX, Voyager, and probably soon to be many more. And the reality is, if you are or were an account holder at any of these platforms and you're out your crypto or your fiat, you are an unsecured creditor. So you are bottom of the rung, lowest on the totem pole. So the chances that you get made whole aren't great, but it's possible, right? Some recovery is possible. And it's not automatic, right? It's not a simple fact that they just have your name and address and send you something and you get a check. It doesn't work that way. So what you've probably noticed, if you are or had an account, you probably received stuff in the mail, because in bankruptcy, there's crazy like noticing requirements. And because of all the paperwork that they effectively have to mail to everybody, they use what's called a bankruptcy administrator, right? So if you Google any of the main bankruptcies like BlockFi, right? I have it up right now. Google BlockFi bankruptcy administrator. And what it'll do is it'll bring you to a web page that's dedicated solely to the BlockFi bankruptcy. And there you can find important dates, as you can in what they're probably, or at least should be, sending you. And the most important date to look at is the claims deadline, because in order to secure your right to receive your crypto or your fiat or an equal value, you have to file a claim. And those forms are going to be on that website, right? And also probably mailed to you. But at a minimum, go on that website. Like in the BlockFi case, you can do it online and everything like that. But what you have to do, and what I advise people to do, is put as much information as possible. If you have any indication or like screenshot or anything that would prove that you had X amount, right, of crypto or fiat on these platforms, send it in with the claim, right? Because you're assuming that a company that already screwed you is going to be honest with you going forward when everybody is just grabbing for pennies, right? So fill it out completely, and send as much evidence as you have, right? And if you don't, you don't, but send as much as you can. It can't hurt to send more than what you need, right? So that's the basic thing. Let's just say you're a basic creditor, right? And now, you see like late night TV, and you see like these commercials popping up from these ambulance chasers and saying, we're going to, class action against FTX, all this kind of stuff. There's a general rule in bankruptcies. If your loss is the product of fraud, right? Like FTX, for instance, you could plausibly argue that SBF was like literally just looting the company, running a Ponzi scheme. A debt procured by fraud can be deemed to be non-dischargeable in bankruptcy, meaning it would survive bankruptcy. Like you file your claim, you get 20%, that other 80% is gone, right? It's gone. You'll never get it back, and you have no legal right to get it back. But if you can prove that the debt was procured through fraud, then the debt will survive the bankruptcy. And typically what you do is you also would sue like the players, the individuals, because they're the ones who ultimately would have money. Now, SBF probably won't, because he's been in prison for a long time, but that's the alternative. And that alternative involves litigating within the context of the bankruptcy case and filing what's called an adversary case, which is very expensive, can be time consuming. But if you have enough, right, if your loss is high enough, it's probably worth pursuing, because a lot of these cases, especially the FTX, there was fraud, right? I mean, it's hard to say there wasn't. So, for the rank and file, like I'm a BlockFi unsecured creditor, I maybe had $100 in there. I've gotten a million pieces of paper, which the postage alone is probably worth more than $100, but I'm going to file a claim and I'll get whatever I get, very little, right? Because what happens is the lawyers get paid first, and then the taxing agencies get paid second, and then it just goes down the list, and the rank and file retail investors get left with nothing. So the whole consumer protection element of this is kind of lost, but that's another story for another time. But to be certain, right, to get anything, find these websites, okay? Bankruptcy, FTX Bankruptcy Administrator, and be very wary of the claims deadline. Fill out the claim form. It may be different in most instances. There's like a single claim form that is used in common bankruptcies, but in these crypto bankruptcies, they're given the nature of crypto, like there's unique forms. Go online, do it, secure your right. If you're a bigger creditor and you're looking at it, especially like an FTX, right? Maybe not BlockFi as much, maybe not Voyager as much. There's negligence, but maybe not fraud. Who knows, right? And it justifies the means of investing in an experienced bankruptcy attorney to file one of these adversary cases to preserve the full amount that's due. It's worth investigating, right? But no matter what, file your claim. You have to file your claim, and you have to file it by the deadline date, else you're out. And you're out for good, and there's no exceptions. Like there's no coming back and saying, I forgot, I got lost in the mail, or anything like that. So like BlockFi is at the end of the month. Go online, fill it out, send as much information that would support your claim as possible. I don't care if it's like a screenshot of you logging in. It doesn't matter, send it. It's all goes and speaks to the fact that you're owed some amount of something. So that's the trick with these cases, right? And it's really a loser's game, but you never know, right? Like with FTX, people have argued that, perhaps they didn't need to file bankruptcy because there's enough like crypto there, but by the time they pay the attorneys and everybody else, whittles all, and the secured creditors, with loans and all that, and it whittles down to you, you're probably looking at a very small recovery, but it's better than nothing. So you have any questions, hit me up. Adam at Tracy, Tracy.io, and I will talk to you next time. Cheers.